Some people enter your life and instantly soften your heart. Their smiles are warm, their words are kind, their presence is reassuring. They are always supportive, always listening, always lending a hand. They are often a kind of safe haven for everyone around them. But if you look closely, beneath that warmth you see a subtle weariness. It's as if a silent storm lurks behind their eyes. The goodness of these people is often considered innate. In fact, they are often idealized by those around them. But the truth is more complex, because the thing we call goodness, no matter how pure it may appear from the outside, carries its own shadow, just like every other emotion in human psychology. When that shadow goes unnoticed, kindness gradually becomes a burden that it often starts in childhood. A child learns that they are loved when they are compliant. They are praised when they remain silent. They notice that the tension on people's faces eases when they put their own needs aside. Thus, a deep connection is formed in their mind. The better I am, the safer I am over the years. This learning takes root, and the child's personality and the role they have taken on become intertwined. They begin to live not as who they are, but as who they should be. Then the adult who helps everyone, never causes any trouble, and is always understanding emerges. Those around them praise this state, but no one sees the fatigue accumulating beneath the mask of kindness, because this kind of kindness stems not from the heart, but from anxiety. When people live like this, they unwittingly wear a mask, and when masks are worn for a long time, they suffocate. It is no coincidence that the kindest people around you are always the ones who listen. Some listen to you for hours, while they themselves have not listened to their inner voice for years. Some support others materially and emotionally while putting their own needs on hold. Others maintain a smile on their face just to avoid disturbing the peace. But inside they are filled with a silent scream. However, this kind of kindness often stems not from sincerity, but from the fear of feeling worthless. And this condition has a name in the literature: compassion fatigue. This is not only seen in healthcare workers, teachers, or those in difficult professions. People who constantly give are also at risk. Anyone who is constantly understanding, constantly holding back, constantly putting their own needs on hold is at risk. Research shows that people who constantly put themselves second experience more anxiety, depression, and physical exhaustion. Because when kindness is uncontrolled, it makes a person invisible. And invisibility is not peace, but the quietest form of loneliness. Sometimes things get even stranger. A person has been known to be so good that people come to expect it from them. They don't ask what they want. They even forget to ask, because they'll manage anyway. And so goodness becomes a trap that the person sets for themselves. The better they are, the more they fade away. The more they give, the less they are noticed. And after a while, this person becomes everything to everyone, but nothing to themselves. At this point, all the pent-up emotions accumulate in the darkness. A second voice forms inside the person. This voice is sometimes anger, sometimes resentment, sometimes just the question, when will I be important? But they have become accustomed to silencing this voice. Because good people don't get angry, don't say no, don't become a burden. That's what they've been taught. But people cannot suppress their feelings forever. At some point, the things that have accumulated inside begin to seep out. Sometimes as sudden bursts of anger, sometimes as passive-aggressive behavior, and sometimes as the person consuming themselves. Kindness seems to protect us from darkness, but kindness without honesty only makes that darkness grow. Because every time you say yes, you are actually saying no to yourself. Every time you smile and remain silent, you abandon your inner truth. And no one who abandons themselves can remain whole. So why can't so many people set boundaries? Because culture, family, and society have taught us for years that being good means giving up on yourself. That's why most adults confuse self-sacrifice with submission. They try to bring peace to others by harming themselves. But the truth is simple, true. Kindness does not destroy you. True kindness includes you as well. Kindness that only flows outward eventually becomes a river that consumes itself. Neuroscience explains a very important point here. There are mirror neurons in the brain that enable empathy. These neurons allow you to feel another person's emotions. However, the brain cannot. automatically distinguish between healthy empathy and exhausting empathy. Someone who constantly takes on the burdens of others creates chronic stress in their own body. That's why setting boundaries is not just a social skill, but a biological necessity. This is where the dark side of kindness lies. When it turns into denying your own needs, it becomes self-negation rather than kindness. When you exhaust yourself, you cannot sustainably support others. And in the end, the most vulnerable people experience the quietest breakdowns. Now is the time to stop and think. If you've been feeling tired inside for years, if everyone describes you as such a good person while you feel invisible, it's not because you're flawed. The reason is that no one has taught you that true goodness begins with yourself. So what is the solution? The answer is simpler than it seems. Kindness must be a hand extended to you before it is a hand extended to others. At this point, the most important step is boundaries. A boundary is never really about rejecting people. What it really says is, this is my capacity. This is how much I can give. Anything beyond this point consumes me. Boundaries are the purest form of honesty. Relationships without boundaries either turn into dependency or silent anger. Relationships with boundaries, however, are the true foundation of mutual respect. And remember this, people who set boundaries are seen as more trustworthy, because when they say yes, they really mean yes. Their kindness stems from a choice, not an obligation. That's why it's more valuable, more authentic. If you've been defined by the role of good person your whole life, setting boundaries may scare you at first. You may worry that people will drift away. Some will indeed drift away, because they've gotten used to taking advantage of your exhausted state. But these losses are a cleansing of your life. Relationships recalibrate. Those who remain are the ones with real bonds. In psychology, there's a term called pathological altruism. It is when the desire to help others eventually harms yourself or the other person. Some people constantly take on the role of savior, dragging both themselves and others into dependency. This is the most dangerous misuse of kindness, because it appears to be love on the surface, but at its core, it destroys freedom. The pressure of the good person myth is also significant in society. A good person is expected not to get angry, not to make demands, and not to get tired. But true goodness cannot withstand such expectations. True kindness does not diminish when it stands up for itself. True kindness is also valuable when it shows compassion to itself. True kindness does not deplete its source. It preserves its source. So how does free kindness happen? The first step is simple. When a request comes, don't immediately say yes. Think. Connect with yourself. This leads you not to selfishness, but to honesty with yourself. The next step is gentle but firm refusals. You are precious to me, but I cannot do this right now. I would like to help, but I don't have the strength. These sentences are not the end of the world. On the contrary, as you say these things, you will see that no one loses you and that your bonds actually become stronger. Then you need to redefine your sense of value. Value does not come from constantly giving. Value comes from your very existence. Even if you do nothing one day, you are still valuable. As you internalize this, the source of your goodness shifts from fear to freedom. And at some point, you must come to terms with the feelings you have suppressed for so long. Your anger, your hurt, your fatigue are not your enemies. They are the voice of the boundaries you have crossed over the years. Your life will not improve until you hear them. But as you hear them, goodness takes on a deeper, more authentic form. Most people walk around wearing a mask of goodness, but masks are heavy. The real journey is to throw off the mask and reveal the goodness that comes from within. True goodness begins when you can say both yes and no. True goodness does not destroy you. It completes you. And true goodness keeps you alive while keeping others alive. Let one last question remain in your mind. When someone says to you, "You are such a good person," does your heart truly agree? Or is this goodness the result of fear of loss, habit, or silent pain? Because what poisons goodness is not anger. It is not boundaries. It is not self-defense. What poisons goodness is a person constantly denying themselves. When you turn inward, set boundaries, and begin to speak with your true self, the light of goodness does not diminish. On the contrary, it becomes stronger, clearer, more noticeable. Perhaps this is the goodness the world needs most. Goodness that does not destroy itself, does not forget itself, does not sacrifice itself. Goodness built on truth, sustaining both you and others.